Do you want to do more than follow orders? Think outside of the box and manifest your dreams? Then you've come to the right show. Welcome to the award-winning podcast, Holding Down the Fort by U.S. VetWealth. I'm your host, Jen Amos, a Gold Star daughter, veteran spouse, and entrepreneur. For Season 8, we continue our wonderful partnership with the Rosie Network to highlight motivational stories of personal growth, financial awareness, and autonomy in our military community. We're also excited to showcase our partnership with Blue Water Advisors. Well, we have a lot in store for you this season, so let's get started. All right, hey everyone, welcome back. We made it. We made it past episode 200. We are now at 201. Wow. So this is what the other side of episode 200 looks like. Not the same. No, I'm kidding. Hello. I mean, first and foremost, if you have been following the show from day one, I love you. I haven't met you, but I love you. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for listening. I'm sure that you've seen my growth throughout the show. And we made it. We made it to the other side. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed the 200th episode with Stephanie Brown, the founder and CEO of the Rosie Network. We are just incredibly grateful for this partnership we have with her. And it's just so crazy to know that our friendship and our working relationship has gone back many, many, many years. And so to just know that we can give back to the Rosie Network by featuring their Service to CEO cohort members, their graduates, it's a very meaningful thing. And of course, to have Stephanie herself come on our show and just talk about the journey is incredibly meaningful. So thank you, Stephanie, again for joining us. Also, my husband was co-hosting with me, which was very meaningful as well. But anyway, we are on the other side, and I always have this attitude that if you're not growing, you're dying. So we are not really starting a new chapter, but we are continuing to push forward and focus on growth, focus on what this show stands for, which is personal growth, financial awareness, and autonomy in our military community. So we are going to continue to move forward and give you some amazing content and value, because it's one thing to hit 200 episodes, and then it's another thing to just okay, I made it, and then you just stop and that's it. We're not doing that here. We're going to keep moving forward. Also, though, we're nearing the end of the season. Isn't that crazy? We're really close to summer already. I'm recording this at a time when the weather isn't so bad just yet. I say so bad because summer is my least favorite. It's my least favorite season, by the way. If you're wondering why, then maybe I'll talk about it in post commentary. I don't know. Maybe I will. We'll see. But anyway, let me get into this episode. It's Thursday. And every Thursday, if you don't know already, is an opportunity to switch things up. And rather than talk about entrepreneurial stories, we're going to talk about employment tips and tricks. Basically, career progression advice from Mike Wallace, who is the CEO of Blue Water Advisors, and they are all about, helping military retirees with their employment opportunities in post-military life. So for this episode, my husband, Scott, and Mike Wallace, they co-host together to share how military retirees can network for success, because your network is your net worth, or so I've heard. Scott and Mike discuss how military retirees can identify their unique strengths and talents rather than focusing on weaknesses. They share how to offer value in the marketplace, tips on professional networking, and what entrepreneurial advice can do for job seekers, and much more. So I hope that you enjoy this conversation. Hopefully it's a good palate cleanser from, episode 200. I feel like there's always a good balance. So far, I've really enjoyed this season, having a good balance between employment stories, entrepreneurial stories, back and forth. I hope you've been getting a ton of value from it. And I'm going to stop talking. I'll talk to you more in the post commentary. But until then, please enjoy this conversation with my husband, Scott, and Mike. Chat with you in the post commentary. Enjoy.
All right. Well, we are live again. We'll give it a minute here to register on the social medias. And we are just running full steam, man. I know you are as well, but I'm real excited with a bunch of stuff that we're about to launch and get into. I'll try not to go off on a tangent and explain it all today, but because it's like I'm trying to figure out.
I got a cup of coffee, so I can handle it, right? Yeah. So
I got mine as well. I just made a latte. No, because as we've been doing this, like we've been building the opportunity, building the relationship between you and I and what we're working on. But since our missions and align, and obviously those whom we're meant to serve align a lot, we're trying to figure out different ways to be more useful, to be more valuable to an audience. And my way of doing that is, hey, let's educate. The best thing you do is educate, share new ideas, share perspectives you've learned through working with others. And since both of us have, at this point, we're both in the hundreds of conversations we've had with military retirees. You're more from a, how do I get my next job perspective and get paid the right amount? Mine is more from a, what do I do with that money when I'm getting paid the right amount? And by the way, am I wasting money on these military benefits that are really not benefits, they're really features?
Sure.
And that's the better reframe, is that they're features, not benefits. Not bad, just you don't necessarily need all the features, so you don't have to pay for it. So
you and I have been doing this, and just, for the listeners or, future listeners, right? I mean, we've really been tied at the hip here for almost 3 years now, right? I mean, since we launched Blue Water. And I think you hit the nail right on the head, right? I mean, so much of what we do here on this side, I'll say it that way, on this side of the fence, right? When we're talking about individuals navigating their career progression or transition, right? Mm-hmm. And really how to assess what a good fit is, and then ultimately how to navigate to that good fit and secure it, right? Turn that vision into reality. And in all of our career progression consultants, myself, Steve Weeman, Brian Herdlick, Todd Flannery, Jim Webb, all, and many more. Dave Wadelick is coming online. These individuals, John Malfitano is with us now as well. Fred Smith down in Pensacola have just incredible backgrounds of success wearing the uniform, have navigated this career progression transition space, and have found success on the outside. And so now we're securing all those insights to come back here. The point, and I'm going to get to it, is our relationship, right? Such a large part of our members come to us and they go, hey, Mike, what about survivor benefit plan? What about thrift savings? Or what about, VA benefits or medical or all these other kind of things? And what we share with our Blue Water members is I go, hey, look, I can talk with you on those things because I personally navigated those things just like you're going through, right? We all did. We have that commonality. My preference, which is why we're so excited we built this relationship with you and Jen at US VetWealth, because this is your swim lane, right? You are the current, relevant, credible expert. You've devoted, what are you doing this now? 10, 15 years? Like you've immersed yourself into this. And just, I love the way you say it. Our members are coming through. They're going to step into some of the largest earning potential that they will have at their life, right? Considering many of our members secure, retirement, they're going to be stepping into this new world. We're going to help them navigate the space and land and be successful. But you phrased that just right. They've got a new set of challenges. Okay. How do you manage that war chest? What do you do? What are the best practices out there, right? And historically, what does that look? Your books, right? By rank for, 05s, 06s, right? It's a different, maybe discussion. It looks a little bit different. The numbers look a little bit different, but it's equally important to each of those demographics, right? And so just for the listeners out there, right? It's a great relationship. It's a trusted relationship. And I'm appreciative to have you on the team because I don't have that expertise. And in many instances, there are 50 people that you might be able to kind of point to, but, there's only one of them that we've got the trust and confidence and the relationship that we've built over time, and that's you. So anyway.
Well, no, I appreciate it, Mike. And likewise, because what I recognize as, so in these conversations we've had, you and I just get on phone calls, just, hey, what do you think about this? I had a retiree going through this situation. I wasn't expecting that.
Yep.
We've just learned so much together. And so the one thing we've kind of recognized is that when it comes to money and sense of purpose, The real skill that's lacking, and no financial plan, no retirement plan, no extra military benefits, and no perfect resume or job is going to solve the problem if you don't fix it yourself. And that's, how do you position yourself in the marketplace? Networking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you network? How do you take off the uniform and recognize sometimes it's time to stop following orders in a good way? Like you gotta make it your own way. And that's what the networking is. Networking, is your net worth, as they say, but also from a curiosity standpoint, what do you want to be doing with your life? And so I give all that caveat, and I appreciate the relationship, because I think we're discovering kind of missing gaps in opportunities to add extra value. So here's what happened. And we both got some updates to talk about from our trip to DC next week. But real quick, for my trip, hold on, I'm going to share a screen here. So anyways, what I was at, the geophysical spatial place in DuPont Circle. It was a crazy building. And the Small Business Association was putting on an event called Pathway to Business for military spouses. There's a lot of programs out there helping military spouses through entrepreneurship. And I actually went through the Rosie Network Service to CEO program. I did this back in 2017. And so in and of itself, Rosie Network, it's a networking event as well as a program, whatever. So anyways, that's how I got invited in. They asked me to go represent the Rosie Network at this thing. Now, what this box here up on the right was one of their teaching slides or one of the part of the coursework. And this is just called the Business Model Canvas. So anybody who's ever thought about starting a business at one point has probably seen or heard of the one-page business model canvas. And the whole idea is to get everything kind of on one sheet that you need to think about for your business. Just a simple standard. And my argument when it comes to money has always been, a military retiree, think of yourself as a business. You are now looking for customers. The customer might be somebody who hires you for a few years, but that's how you kind of reframe taking back control versus, hey, where's my next duty station? Right. Where's my next position? And that just gives you more permission to seek out new opportunities. So as I was sitting there, I started drafting up an idea I was like, what if Mike and I had a worksheet that wasn't necessarily about numbers? There's probably a spot in there to have numbers in there. But, real quick, I want to hit on what's also unique about all this. And this gets misunderstood. These timelines are portrayed in a way that you must do this by this month and so on and so forth. But that's not how it works. Everybody shows up at a completely different time for a given topic or for a given thing. Like, I don't know, some people hear about SBP a couple months before their retirement date. Of course, they should have heard about it 36 months out. Well, how does getting the checklist that says 30 months out, you should start doing this? It doesn't help. Nobody actually shows up on the timeline that's recommended in all these transition programs, right? Well,
and just off that just for a second, right?
Yeah, please.
That absolutely is, a recurring message that we hear. You remember what it's like, right? Think of the pedigree of the individuals that we're talking about. Think of the selfless dedication that they have. Think of the service before self, right? We all are these A-type personalities, right? And we are not going to let anything fail, right, on our watch, right? That's just who we are, right? That's, this is what America gets from the A-team, right? We're in doing our job till the bitter end. And again, it just, if the listeners will excuse me for the parallel that I'll draw, but almost to a fault, right? Because the one thing that all of us fail to recognize until really the bitter end in most cases is that, in my case, the United States Navy was not going to stop, its mission or fail at it because Mike Wallace was at 30 years and it's time for me to seek something else in life, right? Whether I made that decision on my own or it was just the end of the road for me and whatever the case may be. And usually it's at that point in time, everybody, takes a breath of a deep breath and they go, oh my gosh, like they realize, they look at this checklist you're laying out and they try to do it all, right? All 36 months or however you got it broke down. And they go, man, I'm stepping on a terminal leave next week and I've done nothing. And so I recognize this recurring theme, right? And the requirements for individuals to do things is not going to be the same from person to person. And you've heard us talk about this, right? Some networking requirements may be, longer and farther than others. You'll laugh out loud at this, but I was just talking to a member who signed up for our cohort last one of the year. And this is 2 months out still? It's going to go. It's going to fill. So, but he had a vision. I start talking to him. I go, what do you want to do? He goes, well, I'm looking at Amazon. I really like to go to Amazon. And come to find out at the end of the conversation, he goes, well, my brother works at Amazon. I go, well, that's a good thing. That's part of your network. And I go, what does he do? And he's like an executive vice president level 10 at Amazon. And I go, okay, I'm pretty sure in the world of networking, right? That contact is going to be able to turn some wheels for you. And, if not, you can go grab your mom and bring her down on your brother, who's this L10 at, Amazon, and say, hey, look, turn the wheel, right? But the point is, in this case, his networking bridge may not be as long as somebody else who has no connections there. Yet they didn't have time to build these bridges because we're all obsessed with our day job when we're wearing the uniform, and that's just who we are. But that's the great thing about Blue Water. To all of our members, you're welcome. You are welcome. We're building the network for you, right? It won't be all encompassing, but it'll be a cat shot into your networking experience to wherever it is you want to go. And that's the great thing about what we're trying to build and preserve here at Blue Water with your help at US VetWealth, right? It's all about networking, right? So I love the product that you built there. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, because that's all relevant because now think about it. Now this is just a draft slide thinking about the timeline for the various things people talk to me about.
Yeah.
This isn't even talking about VA disability or, job hunting stuff. Now, here's the real problem why this slide's relevant. Think about the perspective of the retiree going through the program. What happens? They end up asking their buddies who went a few months, a few years before, what did you do about this? What did you do about this? But we're forgetting, when did that person first find out about that same problem? And so we're just making this general assumption, as we do in the military, that, all the context is always going to be the same. And of course, that's not true. So what I want to do through our program, at least on the financial side of things, essentially a version of like a 9-line military retiree pay and benefits checkup or an audit or something like that. Trying to come up with the name of it. I'm going to run it by you, ask for some guinea pigs to run some stuff. That's another presentation. But for what we're doing, thinking about network, again, really the right word is positioning. And the reason I say positioning is because it incorporates not just, hey, I got to put myself out there and get to know a bunch of people. It's like, for what purpose? And I don't like the word compete. I don't like to think about competition in that way, but just understanding that there's a lot of other variables and people's intentions and goals in that. And that's why just being clear about where you're trying to position yourself at this market, whatever job you're trying to get, whether it's or start a business or anything. We're going to, end up doing this stuff anyway.
That's the important starting point. And again, often with our members, and you've sat in several events with us, and when they come and spend the day with us and they realize the first thing we want to talk to them about is, hey, what is your personal mission, vision, and priorities? Like, what are the big rocks in your life that you want to preserve that make sure that, you've been wearing the uniform and you've been saying, hey, when the time is right, I'm going to set aside some time so I can pay it back to my family or whatever it happens to be. I'm going to value my time monetarily more or appropriately, and I'm going to secure this. So, we call those the big rocks when you're making your own personal strategy, right? What's the mission, vision, and what are the priorities along the way, right? And, there's a little bit of eye rolling back into the head sometimes, people go, oh, Mike, really? This is what we're going to talk about? And the short answer is yeah. The short answer is yes, right? Because it has to start there. But it quickly segues into just exactly what you said. Now, what do you want to pursue? What is going to be a good fit that is going to preserve those big rocks that you just set aside? Hey, this is important to me in life, so I now need to find my next success that's going to allow me to protect these things. And maybe SBP's in there, maybe thrift savings plan, the war chest, right? Maybe all that is in there, and you got to figure out a way to preserve that. and then as you're assessing these companies and industries that you're going to pursue, some may do this well enough or some may not support that at all. But the point is, you have to have a strategy to know if you're on track or not, right? And for everybody out there, it kind of comes out of nowhere and hits you abruptly. You have no, and depending on what your service is, but you have no placement officer, you have no detailer, you have no community manager. If you're a Marine, you have no monitor, right? What's Army assignments officer? You don't have any of that anymore. There's nobody that's assessing the terrain for you and telling you this is where we want and need you, and this is where you're going, and we've mapped out this for you. 100% of all of that now rests on your shoulders.
Yeah.
And our relationship, the war chest and understanding the timeline and when do I need to think about certain things, that's key, Scott. And I love what you put together here. That's legit, right? I mean,
because what derails that search of opportunity is prioritizing what you want. It's these problems.
Yeah,
it's these financially related problems that either derail it because it's just another stressor, or more of what happens is people don't know about something and leave opportunity on the table. That's kind of why the book's called Don't Forget Your War Chest.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing too. And these individuals, again, if they pick wrong and they fast track through all this stuff, they go like, Mike, I don't want to do that. I want to do anything. I just want to grab the brass ring and I want to go here. Careful, because why? Because we've been doing this long enough, because we know if you pick poorly and you step into that environment, you hate getting out of bed in the morning. It doesn't secure your big rocks for you. It's not a good fit, and you just, fast hands in the cockpit, to use an old phrase, and you landed there and you're miserable. What do we know about our membership? They are secure enough in who they are that if they are miserable, they will get up and they will leave. They will not stay. And you now just added more time required to find that best fit. So don't skip these steps, right? I mean, don't skip, right? You have to go through this process. You don't have to live in these worlds, but man, you got to go through a little bit and give it a little bit of thought, just so you kind of have hey, I'm on track or I'm not, right?
And so what I want to identify, these are some of the financial priorities, but for our kind of, this positioning, from that perspective, Mike, you and I can kind of work together offline. I'd like to get your thoughts on, what would be some of the problems that come up for that. And then likewise, what are the mistakes that cause those problems? From a lot of the financial standpoints, what it comes down to is we're in a limited knowledge bubble when it comes to finances. Because what is military finance all about? Financial readiness. That's the word. Well, what's readiness about? Deployment. They don't care what your accounts do. They just want to make sure you can deploy. So let's leave
your dental status, your medical status. Hey, you're not going to fall over dead. Here, grab this thing and go this direction, right? Yeah, get going.
So same thing with networking. How are you trying to position yourself? Like, you can only control how well you're going to get promoted or what next job you're going to do is so much. But with positioning, you have full control. So all this background to say, well, what if we just had our own one-page worksheet that allows everybody to kind of, from a more, heady standpoint, to sit down and be like, all right, if we were having this conversation 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever kind of general time frame we're looking at as we're, figuring out what we want to do with ourselves when we grow up, what would have to happen for us to feel good about our success, both personally and professionally? And, these are the things that seem to come up from my perspective. And what I thought, Mike, is with this kind of networking masterclass idea that we've been bounced around, that we put together, like, what if we held, I don't know if it would be a weekly or probably bi-weekly. I kind of think bi-weekly. Usually these groups I've been in, every couple weeks, people come in, check in, practice introducing themselves a little bit. And then, maybe we have a presentation on a particular topic, or we have a guest speaker. I've got tons of people that I know. I got a guy who I just networked with through one of my mastermind groups. He's about to buy a business, retired out of the military, and now just a government contracting business. So it's like he came out of the corporate world after the military, and it's not like he's getting loans and all that. So it's like, eventually, people might want to learn kind of stuff like that. How would you buy it? How would you do it?
Yes, speaker, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So just go out and start businesses as well too. That's a unique discussion.
And guess what? Those guys look for people to hire. And a lot of them are visionaries like me. They need an operator. Yeah. So they need someone to just come in and be like, hey, I'm going to learn and figure out as we go. I don't, even if I don't get paid right away, if you're in a position to do that financially, those are the types of things that can come out of this. The point of this is to ask those questions that are going to be relevant and try to figure out the kind of, your own individual timelines. This is to truly personalize what comes up. Who do you know? Yeah. Who do you need to know? Do you have a plan to get there? Do you know some strategy? Do you want to learn some strategy?
Hey, this is your host, Jen Amos. Thanks again for listening to today's episode of Holding Down the Fort by US VetWealth. Visit holdingdownthefortpodcast.com to access the full show notes of this episode, including resources mentioned and bonus content. Once again, that's holdingdownthefortpodcast.com. Lastly, stay after this outro music for something a little extra. Thanks again and chat soon. Bye for now. All right, hey everyone, welcome to the post commentary. By the way, I just realized that I wanted to remind you all that this episode is available on YouTube. I know it's a little late to say that. You're probably like, Jen, why didn't you say that at the beginning? Well, because I forgot. And also to say to you that if you want to watch all of this via video moving forward, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Holding Down the Fort podcast YouTube channel. Or if you are interested in plugging into the actual live shows that Scott and Mike do, you can actually subscribe to our company YouTube channel, which is USVW TV. So once again, that's USVW as in US VetWealth, USVW TV on YouTube. And last I talked with him, he was continuing his weekly live shows with Mike Wallace. And so you can go ahead and go on the YouTube channel, subscribe, and you will get notified when they go live. Great opportunity to participate in the group chat or participate in the live chat, or even be invited to be a special guest on their show. And if you do, there's a possibility that that replay may show up on this show for the next season. So what do you know? Fun stuff. In case anyone is curious, I wanted to explain to you why I don't like summer. Why summer is my least favorite season. I'll give you a quick example of what's already happening since spring is starting to begin here at the time that I'm recording this. First and foremost, my cat brings in a dead bird. I mean, I know that cats do that. I get it, because he's an outdoor cat. If you have an outdoor cat, you understand. But it's like the first bird he brings in, before spring barely begins. So that's one thing. And I'm already thinking to myself, oh boy, what else is he going to bring in throughout the spring and the summertime? There's that. The second thing is we live by the beach. So I was about to work in my office the other night when I saw a cockroach just crawling around in my chair. So I had my husband vacuum the cockroach. My husband doesn't like to kill anything, so he just vacuums them and then dumps them outside. I mean, whatever, just get it out of my workspace. So there's that. The biggest thing I'll just say for now, and if you really want to know, I can elaborate more later. The biggest thing I do not like about summer is Mother Nature. It's the bugs. It's just life be lifing out in the wilderness. And the worst part of it all are the mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes. Mosquitoes just have a way of finding me even when I'm indoors, even when I have citronella everywhere, citronella candles, citronella incense. I'm just hotboxing my home with the smell of incense or with the smell of citronella. Just mosquitoes tend to find a way to me regardless. So completely unrelated to what's going on here, but that's why this is the post commentary, because anything can happen. And if you want more of this mixed bag of commentary, you can join us for free on our online portal at holdingdownthefortpodcast.com/portal. There you'll get access to our private podcast, Inside the Fort, and you'll get access to all the resources and education and additional content that Scott and Mike share from US VetWealth and Blue Water Advisors just by joining the portal for free, in which you can opt out of anytime. So if you want to give it a shot, go ahead and visit holdingdownthefortpodcast.com/portal, and I hope to see you there. Until then, I'll see you Monday for our second to last guest for the season of Holding Down the Fort. Oh, so crazy. We've made it, y'all. We're already nearing the end. Time flies so fast. But just like you, I want to enjoy my summer despite how much I hate summer. So that is why the show has to eventually come to an end or eventually have to go on a break. So anyway, have a great weekend and we'll chat again Monday. Bye for now.